Man City have put together a five-game unbeaten run in all competitions since the international break, most recently following up a 2-0 EFL Cup win over Huddersfield Town with a 5-1 victory against Burnley in the Premier League last weekend. Erling Haaland remains in red-hot form and scored two late goals against Burnley. Mateus Nunes also got his name on the score sheet. I think it's just his second goal for Man City. And there are also two own goals as well from Esteve of Burnley as City ran out comfortable winners in the end. So Stephen, what do you take away from that performance from Man City in the end? What were the main positives for you from that win against Burnley?
I think 5-1 slightly flattered us, but I think that's positive. You know, if you can be clinical and win 5-1 in the end, that's great. And I don't think it was a classic Manchester City performance, despite the number of goals. The first half in particular, City looked more than a little bit laboured. They went ahead, quite nicely. Doku forcing the own goal with a lovely bit of play would have been Foden's, but Esteve, unfortunately, the first of his two own goals on the day. But City were, in the first half, we were decent until we got that goal. And I guess we started to play a bit within themselves a little bit. Maybe they took subconsciously their foot off the gas and let Burnley back into it. And it wasn't an egregious goal to concede, but it was a slightly soft one. But at that point, City weren't really pounding the door down, creating chances. So it was very much City's problem of their own making for giving Burnley a bit of breathing space. Of course, Guardiola obviously said something. Second half, we weren't exactly electric, but we were better. Much more assertive and created more chances. And overall, I think we're decent value for the win. Doku hugely involved, explosive as always, but right now with an end product too, forcing the hand of Burnley many times, giving Kyle Walker a really difficult evening. And of course, the clinicism of Haaland at the end is the icing on the cake. Like 8 goals in 6 games in the Premier League now for Haaland with an assist there too. It's ridiculous numbers. It's inhuman, robotic stuff, and overall a good performance. Not a great one, but another step in the right direction for a City side that is slowly evolving. And of course, without Rodri as well, still without multiple key players and new signings, Marmoush, Aït-Nouri, Ryan Cherki. Yeah, I'll take it. I think I've accepted that this progression is going to be a bumpy road in terms of the performances won't always be electric. But as long as we're going towards the same direction, I'll take it for now. And I thought Burnley game was a decent step forwards.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we've spoken an awful lot about Erling Haaland, and rightly so. But I think one player who is enjoying a purple patch at the moment, and long may it continue, really, is winger Jeremy Doku, who got two assists against Burnley and was named man of the match. He really is a joy to watch at the moment, and must strike fear into every Premier League right back he comes up against. And Kyle Walker being his latest victim, if you like, of course. How impressed have you been with Doku, and do you think now he's sort of showing everyone now what he really can become at City, and how vital do you think the form of Doku will be for City to try and get back to their best now?
Yeah, I do think his game's changed, and a lot of that will be by design, but some of it's also by maturity. That I do think the fact that he's playing a bit more centrally every now and then, and I know a lot of his good work still came out wide, in particular in this game, but he is drifting a bit more central. He is picking passes a little bit more. He is being more involved in the creative play overall, and it sort of suits him. I don't know whose idea that was, but I really like Doku with his explosive ability. Most famously this season against Luke Shaw and United, when he just went past him centrally, it was unstoppable. It's really effective. Doku has never had any issues beating people. Guardiola said after the game, "There's no player in the world better over 5 to 10 meters than Doku," and I agree with that. I think he's the most explosive dribbler in world football, the best dribbler in tight spaces in world football, which is crazy to say out loud, but I think it's genuinely true. He's an absurd talent that way, but it's more of a case of can he add that finishing touch and so on, and can he actually create more? And I think he is. Previously, if you looked at Doku, it felt like his main goal was to beat a player time and time again. And I think that's how he sort of measured his ability. And if you've grown up being the best dribbler, you're going to focus on that. But the standards of Manchester City are so high that's just not enough to be a great dribbler. It might have been in League One when he was playing for Rennes or over in Belgium or so on. But at City, you can't just be the best dribbler. You have to be better than that. You have to be creating chances as well. And I think he's learned that after a couple of years in the Premier League. He's realised, right, I've got to add a little bit more. And previously, I think if you saw two or three people, you'd see that as a challenge. And if you've drawn two or three people, you've already won. And I think that's the step that he's made in his head. You've already won at that point. So now instead of trying to beat them, He's just passing it instead. He's already creating so much space by his sheer presence, which is a testament to his ability. That doesn't happen unless you spent 2 or 3 years being a great dribbler in the Premier League. So as much as, everyone goes on, he had no end product, but he was creating a reputation and he was creating that fear factor. Now he's getting people and he's looking up and he's passing it into the box to someone. Haaland a few times this season already. And that to me is a step in the right direction. I think Guardiola was right. He said afterwards he feels like he's taken a step forward in his decision making. And I think he has. I think he really has. I think he's understanding. Sometimes I've got to just pass it because people will be drawn to me. That natural presence he's going to create so much space. And we're good at runners these days. We're getting people ahead of him, not just Haaland like it was last season. Tijana Reinders is there. Phil Foden's there because he's finding his form again. People are getting into the box. When Marmoush is coming in, I think Marmoush has got a chance to play on the right, by the way. And I wouldn't usually expect that. But I think because of the way that we're playing right now, I think Marmoush might have a chance. He'll thrive off it as well. Yeah, Doku right now, he looks like a man who understands the assignment a bit more. He understands the power that he's got. The power in the palm of his hand is immense. Because you are an immediate game changer if you get the ball and everyone needs to be near you to defend you. That means Haaland's free, Ryan is free, Foden's free, and I think Doku right now can sense that. And he looks like a complete winger right now.
Yeah, he's in really good form at the moment. So Man City have picked up 10 points from their opening six Premier League games and they've scored a league high 14 goals as well. Currently sits seventh in the table, 5 points behind champions Liverpool at the Summit, who of course lost to Crystal Palace at the weekend, and they've got Chelsea in their next match next weekend. Where do you think City are then at present, Stephen? Are you happy with where the team's heading at the moment, and are you optimistic that they can sort of build on this mini unbeaten run of form that they've put together now?
Yeah, I think it was a really good weekend for City. I know Arsenal won last minute, which is a massive boost for them. But the fact that they're in a situation in the first place shows they're not infallible. And the fact that Liverpool lost shows they're not infallible. And Chelsea and Spurs, they were sort of touch and go as well. And lots of teams around, City with expectations, and they dropped points or had difficult weekends. And City right now, when I was doing my own analysis on the channel, it struck me, afterwards, the biggest the mood I'm in right now after the Burnley game is like we're barely getting started. Like we've barely scratched the surface of what this City side can be, and it hasn't been plain sailing, but the form is getting better. The players are finding their rhythm in the side, and we're integrating a whole bunch of new ideas here right now. So many. Like you look at that City side, like Doku, there's still a question mark around him. Nico Gonzalez played question mark around him. There's still, I think, fairly a question mark around Vardy as a centre back in the Premier League. We've seen so little of it, and like Donnarumma, Nico O'Reilly's, Kusanov, Reinders, then all the other new signings, and so there's a lot to learn. And I imagine the picture and how clear it'll look when Rodri is, fully back to his best form. And then you've integrated Shirky and Marmoush and Aït-Nouri this season as well. And the dynamism they'll bring. Savinho can find some form again. He's about to sign a new contract as well. So he's here to stay. So I presume he'll get better because he's been a little bit ropey at the start of the season, but he will. It's just time. I think the City side is looking decent right now. And we've had some really good performances after that tough start. And I think we've barely seen what this City side is going to be. So that to me is room for encouragement. Guardiola sides always kept the ball really well. We're not that great at right now. But there's one thing Guardiola knows how to do better than anyone in the history of football is coach that team how to keep the ball. He's phenomenal at that. So I can presume and assume that this side is going to get better on the ball. They've shown defensive steel. We've shown creativity out wide, and with creativity from Rodri and Shirky and Foden and people. Yeah, I think it's looking good. I'm pretty confident like where City are heading right now, and I think the Burnley game, even though it wasn't maybe scintillating as the United game, whatever in terms of the football, it's another step in the right direction of finding a way to win and responding to adversity, and also win without Rodri. But Gonzalez in the middle there, they did a decent job. It's nice to be able to win again without him, and yeah, keep moving forward.